Hey folks, it's Brooks here for another installment of the 5 for 5. Hope you're having a great start already to your Monday, and I hope you're looking forward to a great week. Hey, I wanted to take a second to talk with you about something that is familiar to every single one of us. But first, I want to ask a question. So, would you say this glass is half full or half empty? Now, this is one of my all-time favorite things to drink, if not the favorite, that being sweet tea. And for some people, they would say, well, that glass is half full. Of course, we'd call those people optimists. They're optimistic. They are glass half full kinds of people, right? We call them that for a reason, because they see the bright side. Others would say that this glass is half empty. That's sort of the starting point for them. That's more on the negative side. That is the side that sees what's lacking rather than what one has. Well, in a lot of ways, I think we can say that we tend to be, at times, glass half empty type people. And what often happens when we have that perspective is that we tend to complain. And we tend to complain a lot. You've probably heard of the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and things like that. Well, I think complaining may be one of the fruits of the flesh. The Bible doesn't call it that, but I think real easily we'd probably say that it is one of the fruits of the flesh. And on our worst days, and even sometimes on our best days, we tend to default to that mode of just grumbling and complaining. Well, here's the thing: you're not the first, and I'm not the first, and we won't be the last. But if you go all the way back into Scripture, in the book of Exodus and Numbers, you find that the people of God, the Israelites, grumbled over almost everything. It's interesting because if you read how God set them free from slavery in Egypt, this was the pinnacle moment for them. This would have been like their Christmas or their Easter. I mean, this is when God delivered them. And it wasn't long after that, when they crossed miraculously across the Red Sea, and when they were set free from Egyptian slavery, that they began to grumble. And they began to grumble early on. You find in Exodus chapter 16, verses 2 and 3, they're grumbling and they're complaining. God provides for them manna in the wilderness. And then they grumble and complain because they don't have meat. They're stuck eating this manna stuff, right, over and over every day. And then God provides for them quail. Well, if you look further in Scripture, you find that they continue to grumble all the way through or into the book of Numbers, even in chapter 11. Listen to what it says here. It says in Numbers 11, you would have never thought you were getting a devotion time out of the book of Numbers today, right? But chapter 11, verse 1, it says, "Now the people became like those who complain of adversity in the hearing of the Lord. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp." You know, that is an amazing passage of Scripture, because one, it tells that the people complained back then just like we often do today. But then it also says that God's anger was kindled against them. And you think, why did God take that so seriously? I think there may be a couple of reasons. One, because when we complain, what we're showing really is pride rather than humility, because we're kind of saying, you know what, I deserve better than this. And complaining is sort of the outward manifestation of pride that comes on the inside. But I think another thing that happens when we complain, and maybe this is even bigger, is that complaining shows a lack of trust. It shows a lack of trust in God's sovereignty, that whatever we're complaining about, whether it's a long line at the grocery store, or whether it's that we don't get enough recognition at work, or something didn't go our way that day, what we're doing really by complaining is showing that, you know what, God, I don't trust that you're in control of this situation, and I don't trust that you're sovereign. And rather than being grateful for what we do have, right, the glass half full, we tend to complain about what we don't. And we show an incredible lack of gratitude. Here's what I guarantee you today. You're going to find yourself in a position somewhere throughout these next 12, 16 hours that you're awake. And you're going to be tempted to complain. But when you're tempted, just catch yourself for a moment and remind yourself that God's in control, even of that frustrating experience, whatever it may be, and that you can trust Him there, and that He's going to work it out for good if you trust Him and if you love Him and if you follow His lead. And so, rather than complain today, hey, show some gratitude that next time, and thank God for the part that's in the glass, not the part that's not. Have a great day today.